and merry meet. Welcome back to Anonymous Crone, the podcast where wisdom is earned, tea is mandatory, and where we occasionally forget why we walked into the kitchen. I am your resident crone, your guide through the brambles, the bones, and the beautiful bewilderment that is the pagan path. And today, we're diving into something foundational, something cyclical, something that refuses to sit still no matter how hard modern life tries to flatten it. Yep, we are talking about the Wheel of the Year. So let's start with the big question. Why do we celebrate it at all? Well, because we remember. We celebrate because we refuse disconnection. We remember that we are not separate from the earth. We are of it. We are walking, talking, compost in progress. Glamorous, sparkling compost, yes, but compost nonetheless. Modern life tries to convince us that time is a straight line. We wake up, we work, we sleep, repeat, pay bills, panic slightly, and then die. But the earth says, absolutely not, hell no, we are not doing this. Modern life says, produce, achieve, repeat. But the wheel says rest, grow, bloom, release, and then begin again. The earth moves in cycles. The moon waxes and wanes. The sun rises and falls. Seeds sprout, bloom, fruit, wither, and return. And guess what? So do we. You are not failing when you slow down. You're just entering a different season. Pagans celebrate to reconnect with these natural rhythms, to mark the passage of time, not just with calendars, but with meaning, to honor the shifts in energy, both around us and within us. Also, and, let's be honest, we celebrate because, life is hard, and sometimes we just need a good bonfire, a bit of homemade bread, a reason to toast the gods, and to celebrate our own survival. So let's talk about Sabbats and Esbats. And to clear up a bit of terminology, because this does confuse a lot of new practitioners. Sabbats are the seasonal festivals, the big turning points of the wheel. There are 8 of them spaced throughout the year, marking solstices, equinoxes, and the cross-quarter days in between. Think of Sabbats as Earth's holidays. We have solar festivals marking the sun's journey. I'm going to come back to Sabbats and the Wheel of the Year. That's pretty much what this episode's about. But let's talk about Esbats. So Esbats are tied to the lunar cycle, typically celebrated during moon phases. Think of Esbats as your monthly check-in with the universe. A time for magic, reflection, charging of your tools, and maybe even having a little emotional moment because the moon said so. So let's just jump right into the biggest, baddest moon up in the sky, the full moon. The full moon brings power and manifestation. This is the time to charge your crystals, charge your tools, and charge your water. Tarot and oracle readings are very powerful during this moon due to an increased intuition and emotional clarity. Speak intentions aloud. Intention and manifestation strength is amplified. This is also the perfect time to do any type of candle magic using white or silver candles. You can work with deities such as Luna, Diana, or Selene. Offerings include white flowers, milk, or silver items, and you can offer these to lunar deities to honor their light. Next, we see the waning moon. This Esbat aids in letting go of what no longer serves you. Release what binds you. It helps with clarity, seeing things as they really are. It helps you see through the bullshit. Rituals are stronger now, like cord-cutting rituals, banishing negativity or unwanted energy rituals. Protection spells, too, they're stronger during this moon phase as well. The deities to work with during the waning moon is Caradwen, Hecate, Isis. So let's talk about the dark moon. Not really sure if it's considered an Esbat, but it should be, in my humble opinion. The time right before the new moon. This is the moon that's completely hidden in shadow, a period for stillness and contemplation. This is great for shadow work, self-reflection, reclaiming personal power, divination, and banishing. I think this moon and the new moon, they actually go hand in hand. One chapter is closing and a new one is beginning. A lot of modern witchcraft teachings actually fuses the two moons together, though, and I really don't know how I feel about that. The dark moon definitely has its own power. The dark moon is for working with the dark goddesses like Lilith, Hecate, Kali, and the Morrigan. About a day or two after hanging out with the dark moon, you're going to meet the new moon. Death to the old and birth of the new. The moon comes out of hiding, but just barely. The smallest sliver of light from the moon after the dark moon. I know a lot of calendars. They show the new moon as completely dark. Don't let the bastards fool you. They're showing the dark moon, but actually the new moon, barely a little bit of light shining on that moon, and that is the new moon. This is a time of new beginnings. It's time for introspection, planting seeds for the future, and birthing new projects. It's time to charge your water with new moon energy. You could also write your intentions down. You could bury them or burn them to release them into the cosmos. It's time for quiet meditation, maybe a little shadow work and journaling. Deity to work with during this time could be Artemis, Hecate, Kali, or Khonsu. And now struts in the waxing moon. Growth, hope, planning, pure maiden energy. Good for attraction magic, whether it be a love interest or a new project, creative endeavors, building a better habits for yourself, just planning, recharging your energy. You will be working with maiden energy. Deities include Rhiannon, Brigid, Hecate, and yes, I've included Hecate multiple times, but she is a goddess of crossroads. She helps with decisions and transitioning, and a full episode to come on her later. So now you've met the major Esbats, the major moon cycles. If all you do is just stand outside and whisper, "I'm trying," the moon hears you. Both Sabbats and Esbats are important. Sabbats are the stages and seasons of the year, the cycle of the sun, and Esbats are the cycles of the moon. One is the grand story, while the other are pretty much just diary entries. So now it's time for the entree, the wheel of the year. Let's turn it. Now grab your cloak, your tea, or your emotional support crystal. We're going to go around the wheel. Starting with Imbolc. Imbolc is about February 1st or 2nd. With most of these, I'm going to give a couple day leeway just because different people celebrate different days, not necessarily really far apart from each other, but like within a day or two. And sometimes the day does change, just depending on the year. But let's start with Imbolc. Imbolc brings awakening, purification, new beginnings, new hopes. And the main deity that we honor during this time is Brigid. She's the goddess of hearth and poetry. This is the whisper of spring, not spring itself. Let's not get ahead of ourselves, but the promise of springy things to come. It's time to cleanse your space, set intentions, light your candles like you're emotionally preparing for greatness. March 19th through the 23rd, the spring equinox, we celebrate Ostara. Ostara brings balance, fertility, renewal. We work with deities such as Aostra, Persephone, Demeter, Freya, Aphrodite. Day and night are now equal. Balance has been restored. And yes, eggs and rabbits, fertility symbols. Not everything is subtle in paganism. Ritual ideas, egg magic, meaning, right intentions on eggshells. You can plant seeds. You can do a balance ritual. List what's out of alignment. Disorder and mayhem just means something is trying to reorganize. About May 1st, we celebrate Beltane. The setting is passion and fertility, fire, life force, the dance of the creation of life. The deities are the gods and the goddesses in union, fertility deities such as Pan or Flora. We also see Cernunnos, Dionysus, Aphrodite, and the Green Man. This is, how do I say this delicately? Life is very enthusiastic right now, Sabbat. We can celebrate by fire festivals, candles or bonfire rituals, making flower crowns, maypoles, and yes, fertility energy. Interpret that how you will, but historically, it's not subtle. Sex magic, dance, movement, embodiment. This is a Sabbat where even the plants are like, let's make questionable decisions. The turning of the wheel has now brought us to summer solstice. Midsummer, June 19th through the 23rd, we celebrate Litha. Litha brings power, abundance, peak energy. The Oak King and the Holly King battle for control. We work with deities such as the solar gods, Ra, Helios, Apollo, Suna. We also see Pan, the Oak King, Green Man, and Freyr. We can celebrate by greeting the sunrise on the morning of the solstice, by decorating our altar with herbs, flowers, and sun symbols, creating a fairy house in the woods to honor nature spirits. Definitely bonfires, sun charging rituals, herbal magic, protection spells, and gratitude ceremonies. This is the longest day of the year. Maximum sunlight, maximum I can do anything energy. Also, the turning point, because right after this, the days begin to shorten. Celebrate your power before the wheel turns again. The wheel has brought us to Lammas, or Lughnasadh, which is August 1st. It marks the first harvest. We celebrate with gratitude. We acknowledge the sacrifice. It's time for reflection. We work with deities such as Lu, who's also the namesake of Lughnasadh. We can work with Talchu or Danu or other sun deities. Here's a little background. The Celtic god Lu was a master craftsman, warrior, and solar deity who established this festival to honor his foster mother, Talchu. This holiday marks the first harvest, offering gratitude for the fruits of the field and the sun's life-giving force. Ritual ideas include baking bread. Yes, seriously, it's very powerful. You can offer first harvest foods. You can reflect on your progress so far throughout the year. Also, bonfires. Listen, growth takes effort. Honor the work. It's time to reap what you sown, but also it's time to ask, was what I planted worth it? No judgment, just, reflection. The wheel is not idle. It has turned again and brought us to the autumn equinox. September 21st through the 23rd, we celebrate Mabon. Some pronounce it Mabon. This is the Sabbath of balance, gratitude, and release. The deities that we honor are Persephone, it's her descent into Hades at this time, and Demeter, harvest deities, Madron and Mabon ap Madron, namesake of Mabon. This is another moment of balance, but this time we're heading inward and maybe grabbing a jacket. It's time to let go, to release, thank what has sustained you, and maybe forgive yourself for the things that didn't go perfectly. Ritual ideas include a gratitude altar, apple magic. If you cut crosswise, a star appears. Letting go rituals, shadow work, and journaling. Release is not loss. It's just clearing space for what comes next. Now, we are at the Witch's New Year, October 31st to November 2nd. It's my very favorite Sabbath. It is Samhain. This Sabbath has us reflecting on death, ancestors, endings, and the veil. The deities include the crone, the sage, Cernunnos, Hecate, ancestral spirits, the Cailleach, the Dagda, and the Morrigan. The veil between worlds is thin. This is the time to honor ancestors, reflect on death, yes, really, sit with the mystery and contemplate what comes next. Also, remember, death is not an end, it's just part of the cycle. This is a time for introspection, honoring the end of the agricultural year and preparing for winter's darkness. We can celebrate by honoring loved ones who've crossed over with a dumb dinner. We can dress up in Day of the Dead attire, to welcome the spirits as the veil is so thin. We can visit graves and memorial. Divination is very powerful due to the thin veil. And bonfires. Samhain is one of the 4 fire festivals. Ancient Celts would light massive festive bonfires for protection, purification, and to welcome the good spirits. We are now standing at the winter solstice. This is December 20th through the 25th. We celebrate Yule, the longest night and the return of the light. This is a time for rebirth, hope, stillness, and survival. The deities we honor include solar deities like the reborn sun god, also deities like Odin and the Holly King. We celebrate by burning a Yule log in honor of the returning light. We can throw a feast for our friends, family, and neighbors, or by taking part in Mother's Night or Modrannicht. So Mother's Night is an all-night vigil with only candles lit. They used to do this to make sure that the sun would come up, and they wanted to be there to welcome it when it did. This is when the sun is reborn. It's subtle, like blink and you'll miss it subtle, but the light begins to return. This is a time for reflection, rest, honoring what you've survived. You got through a whole ass year. You've done a lot, little witch. Yule typically lasts about 3 days, though some observe it for 12 days, honoring the cycle from the solstice through the new year. But also, let's normalize resting without guilt. The earth is literally doing less, and you're allowed to match that energy. So why does any of this matter? The wheel of the year isn't just a calendar. It's a mirror. You will have seasons of thriving. You will have seasons of breaking. But you know what? Both are necessary. Throughout life, you're going to find yourself in times of blooming, times of burning bright, times of harvesting, times of letting go, and times of stillness. And the more that you walk this wheel intentionally, the more you realize you're not lost. You're cycling. My fellow wanderers, whether you're brand new to this path or you've been stirring the cauldron for decades, there is no perfect way to celebrate. You do not need elaborate rituals. Walk the wheel gently and just allow yourself to change. The wheel is always turning, and you are always becoming. And now we're at the part of the pod where it's time for a listener question. One that slid into my inbox at 2:13 a.m., which means it was either divinely inspired or moon-induced overthinking. And honestly, same. But here's the listener question. Hi, Crone. I'm new to paganism and trying to follow the wheel of the year, but I feel overwhelmed. There's so many Sabbats, so many deities, and so many ways to celebrate. I feel like I'm doing it wrong. What if I don't honor everything? How do I actually practice this without feeling like I'm failing? From Anonymous. Oh, come sit by me for a moment. First, take a breath. Now let me tell you something I wish somebody told me when I was standing exactly where you are. You're not meant to do everything. The wheel of the year is not a checklist. It's not honor all deities correctly or else. It's not perform elaborate rituals or you're not a real witch. It's not you have to memorize every correspondence before you're allowed to light a candle. Nope. The wheel is a relationship. And relationships, well, they take time. Let's gently untangle this. You don't need all the deities. Here's the truth. Across cultures, there are hundreds of deities associated with these Sabbats. You're not expected to know them all. You're not expected to work with them all. You're not even expected to believe in them all. Instead, ask yourself, which energies resonate with me? Which stories do I feel alive when I hear them? Because that's where your practice is going to begin. You don't need a pantheon. You need a connection. So you can start with the energy and not the ritual. If a full ritual feels overwhelming, just try this instead. At each Sabbat, simply just ask this. What is changing around me right now? What is changing inside of me? And that's it. That alone is a sacred practice. One simple practice that counts completely. Let me give you the most crone-approved beginner ritual of all time. Number 1, light a candle. Number 2, say the name of the Sabbat. Number 3, speak your intention or observation. And 4, sit quietly for a moment. Congratulations! You've just honored the wheel. No robes required. Today's guest spot comes all the way from Idaho.
Hey, they call me Two Dogs, and thanks for allowing me to take up some time on your podcast. I want to talk a little bit about Samhain and the way that it kind of feels like a thinning of the veil, not just the veil, but of the outside noise. It seems like the world gets a little quieter, like it's holding its breath, so we can kind of get a glimpse and hear maybe what's waiting on the other side. One of the things that I do every year, it's called a dumb supper or a silent dinner. And I'll be honest, when I first heard about it, I thought, man, that sounds a little harsh. But then I realized that dumb here, it doesn't mean dumb, like I'm stupid. It just means silent. So it's a reunion. Every Samhain, I'll set a place at the table for my grandmother. She was always such a meaningful part of my life. The kind of person who made me feel safe just by being there. Every year, I make sure she has a seat at my table, like proper, a plate, utensils, glass, even a small portion of her foods that she really liked. And there's one thing that makes it especially special. I decorate her chair with a doily that she made years ago. It's a delicate, hand-crocheted, a little worn with time, and absolutely perfect. Reminds me of her. I can see and feel her with that. It's very personal to me. When I put it on the back of her chair, it feels like she's right there with me. Not just remembered, but there. The dinner itself is done in silence. No talking, no distractions. Sometimes I'll dim the lights, and sometimes I'll only use candles. Each movement becomes intentional. The way that I serve the food, the way that I sit, the way that I breathe. And in that silence, things start to shift. Memories surface more vividly. Emotions are there that I didn't even realize that I was carrying. There have been times where I felt overwhelming sense of comfort, like being wrapped in something familiar and unseen. Other times, it's more introspective, like she's telling me to reflect or to listen and to remember who I am and where I come from. Some people leave an empty chair for spirit. Some set a whole table. There's no single correct or incorrect way to do a dumb supper. This ritual is about connection. It's about acknowledging that death is a transition, that people we love don't just vanish, they change form, they move into different kind of presence. And on Samhain, when the veil is at its thinnest, we meet them halfway. You might just feel the presence of someone who still loves you, still watches over you, and still finds their way home, even though it's only for one night. For me, that's my grandmother. Thank you again.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us. And if you would like a guest spot on the podcast, again, please email me at acronepodcast@gmail.com. And now, as always, a blessing for you. By turning wheel in sacred flame, by whispered wind that speaks your name, may root and branch within you grow, through ebb and tide, through high and low, in perfect love, in perfect trust, from fertile bloom to quiet dust. May you find peace in every spin, for all you lose lives on within. Until next time, stay witchy, stay wise. See you next week here at Anonymous Crone. Blessed be.